today, talking Dynamics 365 applications, we're going to be specifically looking at sales. We're going to look at marketing, field service, as well as customer service. So whether you are a current Dynamics 365 user or you're simply just interested in what's up and coming, it is important to note really just how these product updates take place, and the release cadence for these applications is consistent each year. So we've got two major updates that roll out, one in April and another in October. Another important note with these updates is that they are automatic. In the past, you had to schedule them, but you don't have to do that anymore. That changed several years ago. So now Microsoft actually just will roll this out region by region with a scheduled release date. It's also important to note that each release, sales, for example, there might be 20 or 30 different updates that are coming out. They don't all just roll out on the same day. So they're going to be spread out over the course of the October Wave 2 release, for example. Some of them might roll out in October, some might roll out in November, December, and maybe even January all the way through March. So leading up to the next release, which would be Wave 1 2023. And last but not least, you heard me mention before, it's fun to test some of these new features out early. And everyone that does have that option, if you've got a sandbox, I would encourage you, maybe use a test environment, not something that you're doing development work in, and definitely not a production environment, but you are able to go in and enable these features early. There are always a few of them at least that you can enable to test out. So kind of fun to get your hands on some of them when you can. All right, and going through the release notes, trying to prepare for this call and to get in and start testing some of these newer features out. I will say this wave, as opposed to several, or the last few, I should say anyway, I was a little disappointed because I wasn't able to test as many of them out early. There are a lot of features that are rolling out, but they're more staggered out beyond October, and maybe just weren't as many of them that were available for early testing. But still excited. And in my role as a pre-sales architect, I get the opportunity to go in and get hands-on and actually demo the system. So that's one of my favorite responsibilities with my role. But I'm going to be using the deck quite a bit today, so we can at least talk through, and I've got some slides that we're going to be able to take a look at what some of this functionality might look like as it's rolling out here. So kicking things off with sales, there are really four areas that I want to highlight today. The first being the Sales Accelerator. So there's some really cool enhancements coming out there, a big focus, a lot of different features there. Conversation intelligence. If you're not familiar with conversation intelligence, I've got a slide coming up here that's going to walk through more, around what it is and some of the enhancements that it's getting here as part of Wave 2. We've got some advanced reporting, and finally through sales, we're going to talk about Viva Sales. So if you haven't heard about Viva Sales yet, you're definitely going to want to tune in there. Not so much a replacement for the app for Outlook, but more or less another tool in the tool belt that you're going to be able to have access to as you are updating data and accessing data throughout Outlook and Microsoft Teams and Dynamics 365. So first up, the Sales Accelerator, the first of those four different areas here. There's an extensive list of updates to the Sales Accelerator, so it's getting a lot of attention, and I'm going to apologize for the grainy pictures in this slide because I wasn't able to test a lot of these features out, so I'm having to rely on those, but without being able to use some of these features yet, I had to borrow some of these screenshots. So SMS functionality, I was really excited to see this, and this is something that is coming to preview in January. So this one I think is going to be a game changer, in my mind, the ability really to text back and forth with your customers inside of Dynamics, and then really access that data and relate it back to a record. So you can see in this screenshot here, let me see if I can get my laser pointer going. You can see in the screenshot here, this area is more focused on SMS. There's an example of what that might look like. And then up in this sidebar, you got access to the feature. So these different buttons up here. Right now today, we've got Teams calling and Teams chat, and access to SMS is something that it looks like is going to be accessible through that bar as well. So making it really easy to access. Again, really excited for this feature. The next one I want to look at within the Sales Accelerator is sequences. So sequences are getting a boost for those that are familiar with using them in marketing in a customer journey. For example, that sort of automation experience is now going to be available in sales. And you can actually use sequences. You could use sequences up prior to the Wave 2 release, but it's getting some enhancements to make it easier to use. So more automation there to help go in and create different actions and activities for your customers. A/B testing. So this is something that's coming to sequences. So it's a feature that's going to be layered into sequences. Another comparison to marketing here, where in marketing you're able to go in and create A/B testing around emails. So create different emails and really just test it to a small set of customers to see what's working best before you were to kick off an email campaign. Well, the same thing is really going to apply here with sequences, where we can go in, maybe create 2 different paths, where we've got different emails or different activities that we're triggering and then sending out to communicate with our customers on. So you can test that out with a smaller group before you actually go in and publish your sequence for your customer base. All right, next thing I wanted to look at here is around email validation. I thought this one was pretty cool. Email validation. So this is something that is a feature currently in preview and scheduled to roll out not until March of this coming year, but it's going to help alert you when leads come in and have email addresses that might be suspected to be invalid. So could be spelling, could be maybe that it's flagged, or from a flagged domain. It could be spam. It could just be an email that was bounced. So a nice feature add here that we're going to be able to turn on through the Sales Accelerator. I think that'll be well received. Conversation intelligence. So these features here they're scheduled to roll out early next year as part of this Wave 2 update. So not really able to test a lot of them out quite yet, but for those who maybe aren't familiar with conversation intelligence today or are not using this feature, what it does is it lets you go in. So I'm going to use Teams calling here as the feature that this is layered on top of, and it lets you go in. You can record your calls, transcribe them, gather sentiment analysis, create different action items, monitor keywords during your phone calls with your customers as well. And there are some new features that are rolling out with the conversation intelligence component here. So capturing the additional customer interactions. This feature is going to let you pull in real-time insights and create different action items anytime you're using Teams to call from the Dynamics 365 sales application. That also includes on mobile. So a really cool new feature rolling out there. While you're on the phone with your customers, conversation intelligence is also going to deliver AI-driven insights. So this might include different talking points about products, maybe pricing or other related information that it's going to suggest while you're having that conversation with your customer. And we're also looking forward to new dashboards and reporting that's rolling out regarding conversation intelligence data. So you know what's working and what isn't. This isn't something that we have access to today. So not much for reporting there when you've got conversation intelligence enabled. So this is something I actually wanted to pull up. So what you're seeing is actually, that's just a screenshot here, but I do have an environment where we've got an example of, how that, conversation intelligence is capturing different data. So you can see here's a call summary where I've come in and I've made a phone call between myself and another customer. So, obviously using some demo data here, you'd have actual names in your system, but here you can see where we've transcribed this entire conversation. Down below here, we've got the actual recording. So if I wanted to play that call recording back, I could. And throughout this conversation, we're also monitoring that sentiment analysis. So you can see where the bars are positive, neutral, or negative as we go along. So I've got a little bit of control over how I review that conversation. Some additional information that we're gathering here that I think is pretty cool. So if you come into mentions, we can come in and we can tell throughout the course of this conversation where the competitor, Fourth Coffee and Rella Cloud were mentioned throughout this conversation. It looks like they were each mentioned a couple of different times. So you can see as I'm highlighting over them, how those little blue dots were showing up here each time those were mentioned. So we're tracking different keywords or different tags throughout this conversation as well. So a nice feature there. Notes, so I can go in as that caller. I can go in and add specific notes as I'm having a conversation with my customer, and then action items. So right now AI is kicked in and it's suggesting that I send an email out to this customer. And obviously, this is just one example, but kind of nice to see what this might look like should you want to take advantage of conversation intelligence in your own Dynamics 365 sales environment. Over on the right, you can see I've got the dialer that is popped open, and here's where those buttons are in my sidebar that I'd mentioned. Typically what I would do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to search for my customer here that I want to make a phone call to. Unless I'm on the record, I can just click the icon to call them, but if I wanted to search for them for my dialer, I could. And then I could start taking notes right here as my call is being recorded and transcribed if those are options that I select as well. So just a really quick overview of conversation intelligence and what that might look like as an example if we were using it. Okay, so up next, advanced reporting. So a few updates with reporting in sales. If you're using sales, even customer service, you've probably seen some of these Power BI driven insights reports that have rolled out. And I think they've been a really big hit, very well received across each of these applications. And a few additional reports are now going to be available alongside, in sales anyway, alongside the opportunity and lead usage reporting within Insights. So we're going to get an account and a contact report as well. And in this actual screenshot here, you can see I've got opportunity usage reporting is what we're viewing. We've got an additional report for lead usage reporting. We're going to see a couple more that show up here as part of this rollout. So it'll be nice to see. There's also a new seller dashboard that is coming, and this is one that I don't have a screenshot for. I was able to get a sneak peek of it, but not able to capture a screenshot for you to show. But it's a pretty nice looking dashboard, really focused on seller activities. So a nice layout to it, very Power BI look and feel to it, different filters available on it. So look for those updates coming out later this year as part of this Wave 2 rollout. And then we got Viva Sales. So I would say this is quite possibly the biggest update, as in was this introduction to Viva Sales. And Viva Sales is really, it's described as it's a smart CRM companion, bringing basically CRM, Microsoft Teams, and Outlook together, along with Microsoft 365 to provide a more streamlined AI-powered selling experience. So if you're using the Outlook connector today, this may be a replacement for you. It doesn't have to be. It can be a companion to the Outlook connector, just another tool to leverage. My experience using it versus the Outlook connector, I do think it's got a very nice, sleek, modern UI to it. You can see on my screen here, I'm using a demo environment, and I've just got Viva Sales opened up. So the behavior of Viva Sales compared to Outlook is really going to be the same as far as how you add it to your application. So I'm coming in, it's an add-on, and I can pin it to the right side of my screen if I want to. And then I've got access to different information throughout Dynamics 365 right from within Outlook. So really a different look and feel. There is some functionality that is not there that is available in the Outlook app and vice versa. So big improvement there, bringing that along. But you can also use Microsoft Viva in Teams. So if I wanted to use it in Teams, I can add it directly to a team, a channel, or I can use it right in chat. So here's an example of me using Viva right in chat. So I'm going to be able to access it down here, and I can pin it as an icon. But I just was able to come in and then search a Dynamics 365 record right from that Viva Sales extension in a chat record. So look for a demo opportunity that you can see here, and then also an account record. So again, could be a replacement, doesn't have to be. You could use them both, but something to consider there. Now with Viva Sales, I did want to show it. We've got a couple screenshots there that talk through. Obviously, being able to use it both in Outlook and in Microsoft Teams. But this is what it might look like in your environment. Now, I'm using Outlook Online here. If you are using Outlook on the desktop, the experience is going to be very similar. Your Viva Sales icon is going to be up top, no different really than the app for Outlook. So accessing it is just going to be as simple as clicking on the icon. But once it comes up here, you can see mine is pinned on the right side of my screen. I've got this email from John Doe. It's telling me that John Doe is a contact in Dynamics 365. It's connected to an existing sales opportunity, and just some other information here that I'm able to access. And then the person themselves, so they may or may not be a contact in Dynamics 365, but I've got my different tabs up here. So there could have been additional people that were included on this email that would then show up there as well. And then I would have the opportunity to go in and create a new contact in Dynamics 365 from this email. Very similar experience to doing with the Outlook connector. So a nice feature add there, adding Viva Sales. I'd highly encourage everyone to go in and check that out. Marketing. Let's move on to marketing. Some nice new features and updates here as well. Although we are going to have to wait for most of these. A lot of these are scheduled to be available between December and February, and we don't have an opportunity to go in and preview or test them out. So first up is moments-based marketing. So specifically focused on real-time marketing here. So if you're using that marketing application, you've got both outbound and real-time marketing. This is where we're focused here when we're talking about moments-based marketing. So we are going to now be able to limit the amount of messages that are delivered to a contact. So versus overwhelming a contact with multiple emails or multiple touch points there, you're going to be able to set different limits. Another feature here with moments-based marketing is going to be able to make inline edits to a live customer journey. So your customer journey experience is a little bit different on the real-time side. You're going to be able to go in and make real-time edits to that, as well as being able to test different triggers in a journey. So the journey itself, if I wanted to test that out, I can do all that before publishing. Really just reassuring the quality of that journey before it's getting sent out. And something else that's rolling out shortly is going to be a feature to create QR codes in marketing emails on the real-time marketing side. So QR codes really making a comeback. I felt like they kind of died down for a while. They're making a comeback. So a nice feature add there, being able to add one of those to your marketing emails. And there are several other updates to real-time marketing that I'm not going to be able to walk through today, but is an extensive list. So I encourage you to check out those release notes as well. Some AI improvements that are coming to marketing that I wanted to highlight. So we've been able to use natural language to go in and create segments. So as an example, find contacts in the state of Minnesota. That would be a way to use natural language to then go in and have the application build that segment for you automatically, where it's going to know to pull contacts with that state field as Minnesota. So building that out on the outbound marketing side is something that we'll be able to do. We are going to be able to do that with segments now in the real-time marketing side. So that's exciting. AI is also going to be added to the email creation process. This is something that is in preview. So if you've been in building, and it does tell you that it's in preview, but it's going to help suggest content ideas to add to your marketing email, really just based on keywords and different content that you've already got added. So just something to help you when building out your marketing emails. Some personalization improvements that are coming to marketing as well. The ability to create multiple brand profiles and to be able to manage them separately. So you might have multiple brands within an org or maybe multiple business units. You're going to be able to go in and manage those separately, set up different default senders or social links, as well as content to each of those. So brand management, getting some attention there. And then, the segment builder itself is getting a big update. So I talked about natural language getting a boost there. The experience of using that segment builder in marketing is going to be a little bit different. Just getting several updates there to the segment builder. So, really, I mean, these features in marketing, again, I apologize, I'm not able to go in and test a lot of these out for you. They're just not available yet to test. So I wanted to talk through them. I do think they're going to help really drive better customer experiences. I'm sure we're able to get target the right customers. We're able to deliver the right content to them. So I'm excited to see some of these features roll out, at least for us to test. Next, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about customer service. So big focus is on experiences here. So if you were to go in and check out the release notes, you're going to see agent experiences, supervisor experiences, admin experiences. So quite a few new things that are getting added to the application. So we're gonna focus on the agent experience here. You can see this extensive list, right? A lot of these are available today. Tough to really run through them all in a demo, but I do want to highlight and talk about some of them. So you can see there's really only one listed here that is not already generally available. So there's a new layout that's available in the Workspace app. And if you're not using the Workspace app, or if you haven't checked it out, I would encourage you to do so. Really agent focused, where you're going in, you're focused on cases and resolving cases. So you can have multiple sessions open. You could have multiple tabs open within each. It's a really great tool, and it's gotten some improvements here with this latest release. Some key sitemap and just UI improvements were made. Updates to the timeline. Some different improvements there. Some AI been brought in to help make suggestions for similar cases and knowledge articles that might help resolve a case. So that's something that I'd like to show as well. So I'm going to switch back over into our demo environment here, and I'm going to jump into the customer service workspace app. And this application, again, if you've got the customer service up, you should check out the customer service workspace application as well. So I'm in here right now, and right now what you're seeing is my sitemap on the left has my session open. So I'm working a particular case. So I got this demo case stood up for a mineral buildup in water supply. So this is what the customer called in about. And over on the right side, that feature enhancement that I was just talking about, so I'm leveraging Smart Assist, and I can see based on this case, the title of my case, I've got several knowledge articles that are being suggested throughout the system. So I've got these top 3 here. And then down below, I've also got 3 other cases that are out there that maybe are similar, that I could leverage to go in and see what do we do to help resolve that case. So again, AI kicks in and trying to help us resolve a case by providing these different suggestions. So a nice feature add there. Okay, up next I want to talk about Omnichannel. So Omnichannel, getting a couple of updates here. You can see those listed out as well. Really, several of these are available already, with just only a couple that we're waiting on until February. So some that I wanted to point out, single sign-on for chat. So if you're using chatbots with Omnichannel, which if you're using Omnichannel, there's a good chance you probably are, or at least are considering it. You're going to be able to enable single sign-on there, and you're also going to have access now to create voicemail boxes. So your admins are going to be able to go in and configure a voicemail box for a queue or for an agent to help support that feature. That's one that's not rolling out for public preview, it looks like, until November, and is expected to be generally available in February, but it'll be a nice feature add there. Teams. So Teams, very important topic over the last several releases of Dynamics 365 as far as that integration between Dynamics 365 and Teams, and really just bridging the gap there and making everything more accessible to keep your team members all in one environment. So we've got the ability to create Teams chats, even link chats to a record right inside of Dynamics 365. That was something that felt like it was in preview for a long time. Now that's all generally available. So for Wave 2, we're going to see a few additional features here. So admins can go in and set up custom rules to help define who maybe a suggested contact is to communicate anytime I want to create that linked chat record. So for example, maybe we want to pull in a salesperson or the last agent that worked a case, for example. So pulling in the right people to help communicate and resolve cases there. Also using AI to automatically summarize any conversations that you're having there using Teams so that you can share the context of them and relate them out to a record in Dynamics 365. So a couple nice feature enhancements there, again, around that Teams integration. It's just come a really long way over these last few Wave 1, Wave 2 updates. All right, and the last app we're going to look at is going to be Field Service. Field Service, my favorite application to dive into. So a couple nice things. First of all, scheduling. A lot of these are going to be rolling out in January, unfortunately, but it'll be they're it's only a couple months out. They'll be really nice to have. There's gonna be a new feature here that you're seeing around not to exceed details on work orders. So this feature is going to be really for any customer that's got a limit on what they can charge their customers without requesting approval. So obviously impacts your technicians as well as your CSRs. So if customers have those limits, you're going to be able to manage that at the customer level, and then have that data available on your work orders and in front of your field workers as well if necessary. Another there is going to be a new feature to help you organize your service operations using trades. So plumbing, roofing, electrical, etc. So managing those trades, being able to associate them to an account or to a location, and then ultimately be able to add those details to your work orders. So that's another nice feature add. And then there were a few updates that were made to the mobile app. So for your frontline workers, those technicians out in the field, some form enhancements added to help make switching easier between the different tabs on a form. In the past, you always had to, if you were scrolled down on the form, you had to scroll all the way back up to the top and then switch between the tabs. Well, now you're going to have access to those different tabs no matter where you're at in the form. And it might not sound like much, but using the mobile application, I think that's a big win. So I'm glad they made that change, or we've made that change there. And then the command bar on in your different tables and forms, scrubbing out a lot of information or functions that really didn't apply as much, and keeping the more relevant options there for the mobile team is going to be a big win as well. And really, so all these applications that we were just talking about there, they're built on the Power Platform. The Power Platform itself gets updates as well. So every April and October, you're going to see a lot of different updates around the 5 core components of the Power Platform. So Power Virtual Agents are your chatbots, your Power Automate is that workflow engine, Power Pages, you think portals or websites, Power Apps, Power Apps are everything that we just discussed, which is that sales, marketing, customer service, field service. Those are all examples of Power Apps. And then Power BI. So your reporting tool. So all of these different components get their own releases. I do want to highlight a few of them around Power Apps, really because they're going to impact all of the applications that we just talked through. So the number one thing here is going to be the modern advanced find. And when we're talking about Power Apps anyway, so we've moved away from the classic advanced find query tool, and we're using this new modern tool that is going to be enabled by default. So it's a completely different experience for end users if they're truly used to just using that classic advanced tool. So you can find it at the top of your screen in any model-driven application. It does come with the ability to go in and also update and whether you want to edit or manage what views you're seeing within a certain table. It does come with a feature there as well. And then you do have a new button next to your keyword search on a table view where you're able to go in and leverage some advanced filtering there too. So some additional features that come with the modern advanced find, but again, very different end user experiences compared to using that classic advanced find tool. So for me, really being able to go in as an end user, and if I've got a list of accounts, for example, some companies may have 5 to 10 different views, some have 20 or 30. Being able to go in and filter that list out to only see the few that I need to see, that's very beneficial. So nice to see that as a feature add as a part of this modern advanced find rollout too. Form updates. So if you're already in the system, if you're using it since the update rolled out or took place, you probably already noticed some of these, but different sections on your form stand out a little bit more. The background was darkened around them to help them pop a little bit. Some of the around fonts and different icons were updated as well. Somewhat minor, but definitely worth noting. And a feature that just went into preview in October, this one's really cool. This is scheduled to be GA in January, but it's the ability to go in and connect to other existing data sources right from Dataverse. So SQL servers or an Excel file, for example. What this will let you do is go in and help create new tables in Dataverse. So there's going to be a wizard that actually you would be able to use once you connect to that source, and it's going to help you create that table along with any additional schema and design there. So really cool new feature. Excited to get my hands on it and try this one out. And the last feature I wanted to talk through today is around collaboration. So we talked a little bit about Teams already. So we've got the option to go in and create Teams meetings now right out of Dynamics 365. So that meeting or that appointment, you can add a Teams URL and send that out without having to navigate away into Outlook to do so. And then we've also got this presence indicator. So if you've got team members or colleagues that happen to be in Dynamics 365 and looking at the same record as you at the same time, you're going to have an indicator on that record that tells you who's looking at that form. And then the nice thing there is you can quickly initiate a Teams chat as well. So help you communicate with your team member around a specific record. Maybe it's an opportunity that you're working together. So nice feature add there too.